formalities. All right, let's call to order the Public Works Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. Brandy, would you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Murray? Here. I'm gonna get it. Commissioner Major?
Present.
Oh, I thought I heard. Chair Belsberg?
Here.
Vice Chair Dietrich? Commissioner Keegan? You have a quorum?
Okay, Tiffany, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I feel like I'm going to choke. Like you already told me to ask. Right? Do I just start and everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So
Are there any public comment forms that we would need to fill out?
Over there?
I used them all.
No, they're gone.
They're
I
on.
used the last one.
Well, Ryan, I know you're here.
I'll just comment on the two items.
I don't
There's only 3 items.
Which one would you like to speak on, Ryan, before we move forward?
Public comment in first under 1A.
1A? Okay, have you noted, Ryan?
And then probably
Any other items?
put me down to 4A and B, and then
So all of
I
it.
could pass, but if
So you would like all items?
only 3. Let's go.
All right, you got them all. I have them noted, Chair.
Okay, do we have approval of the agenda?
Yes. Do you have a second?
Oh, second.
Approval of the agenda. Thank you. Brandy, do we have a report on posting?
We should vote on that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we do a vote on the approval of the agenda?
Everybody has?
Motion to approve.
Yes. No nays? Your motion passes?
A report on the posting of the agenda.
It was properly posted on August 22nd, 2025.
Okay, so should we pause, or do you think we should just go?
We can go with item 1,
Okay.
1A.
Okay, written and oral communication from the public and commissioners. Communication from the public concerning matters which are not on the agenda, but are for which the commission has subject matter jurisdiction.
So we have a few public speakers.
Okay, I just read.
So we have, I think, Anne.
Yes,
Do you go by Annie or Anne?
Anne has 2, I think, and then we have Terry
And then we'll have Ryan after.
okay, so
So let
Anne.
me double check the time and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Please.
Well,
Okay, Anne? Anne's first.
Okay. Just a quick reminder, at the last city council meeting, they voted to record all the meetings from now on. So, and this thing's been recording, that's a public record. It records video but not audio. So we're broadcasting live right now. We've been broadcasting. Anytime you're in a public space, you are subject to being recorded. It's a 2-party state, but the video is always there. And trust me, it is recording because we got public records of it. It's kind of scary. So this heads up, City Council did vote to record all the meetings, so I guess we all have to dress up a little nicer. I mean, I guess, but we're always being recorded. The other thing too is just real quick, on the PCH stuff, I don't know if this is the item to speak on, but just in general, it's Caltrans jurisdiction. PCH is their responsibility. And if we want to comply with President Trump and Governor Newsom's Emergency Declaration Act and stuff, it'd be best to just kind of let Caltrans do the job and us kind of like, force them to do what they're being paid to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Were those the 2 comments?
That was her time. You have to keep it open, please. It's a public meeting.
well, it's not locked.
Okay, please keep it open. Okay, sorry.
It was noisy.
Okay, so that was Anne. Now Terry?
Terry, Terry Davis. Actually, if you could, I'd like to speak to the hazard situation too, later on, so if you could just kind of add me to that. But Rob, I just want a little bit of, just since I'm here, I thought I'd mention SCE and the telecoms. And I know that things are moving there, but I also know that we still, it's not on the agenda. That's why I'm speaking in public comment. You looked down like you were checking out the agenda. I'm sorry. So I know that you're looking into grants for the telecoms and all that is going. I also just want to reiterate, and I know that you and Doug were going to talk, as I have asked you to represent the interests of Big Rock, especially in the undergrounding situation, and a couple of the people who have challenges with SCE, and especially when it comes to legal language that they're asking for in their easements, ROEs. It actually came to my attention today, I realized I've never even looked at the ROE. And Janet was going to send me a copy of it, which I realized I've been talking about it all this time, and because I was not someone who received an ROE, I don't know what's in it, and I don't know what people are being asked to sign. But again, I'm just going on record, and that I specifically have asked the city and the city's attorneys to deal with any legal language that will protect people moving forward. And I trust that you are working on that. And I really am just about to pick up the phone and really ask Georgia to sign the darn thing to move forward. But, you know, it is also important that she feels heard. And I've dealt with her about positioning of the whatever you call it? Transformer, and its position and all of that. But I just also want to make sure that we are being protected as a community. Thank you.
Okay, that was all three?
For that one.
And Ryan.
Okay. In particular, for this commission, you're charged with reviewing all city capital improvement projects. And one of those projects was authorized by the city council in May of this year, 4.5 months after the Palisades fire, to consider this design of a crosswalk on PCH, of all places, at 20326 PCH. And the amount of this authorization, combined it with the Las Flores traffic intersection improvements, for a total of $683,000 to start. Most of these get amended multiple times with additional cash infusions to the contractor that was selected. It was a sole bid contract for one of these two intersections, and why Las Flores, which is more than a mile from the 20326 PCH proposed crosswalk to nowhere, because Moon Shadows burned down. And there's no residential on either side of it for quite a ways. The triplex that was at the terminus of the proposed crosswalk, it also burned down. So there's totally changed conditions. And how and why this got approved for processing is beyond me. If there was a beach access somewhere in there, it's kind of irrelevant. You can see the whole ocean, and you can probably get to the ocean anywhere. By just parking your car and walking down, you wouldn't need to cross the street. If you were in a car, you'd probably make a U-turn and park there and go to the beach. So the only nexus was there was a bus bench at this location because the staff for Moon Shadows was prohibited from parking on site because they don't have enough parking. They don't have enough parking for their customers. They had valet parking up and down PCH and on both sides of PCH, for which the Public Safety Commission 20 years ago imposed reflective vests for their parking valets who were running across the highway during rush hour, parking cars. So the restaurant can't continue as it was. They don't have enough parking. They're never going to get another CUP, not out of this city. So it'll probably be a zoning problem, zone change. Maybe it'll be bought up and turned into a grand residential. But this whole crosswalk thing needs to be shelved before you spend a dime on it any further. Rob DeBoe knows about it.
time.
So please agendize it to come back next month. It is a capital improvement project review. Thank you.
Okay, B, staff updates.
Why don't you guys go first and I'll follow.
Okay, I'll start off. Well, good afternoon, commissioners. Hope everybody's having a great day. I just got a couple quick updates. Won't go too crazy here. One is we just got done completing the upgrading of the controller cabinets for the intersections here along Civic Center, Alba Canyon, and at Winter Mesa. So there is battery backup system now there. So those will now have the battery backup system should we have PSPS events or whatnot. So that's one really good item. Also, on our projects, our PCH signal sync project, we are wrapping up the final stages with Caltrans. They went out and did some testing, inspections. Our crews are wrapping up some asphalt repairs. So we are working with Caltrans to close out that project, which is huge. There are some added improvements with the safety adaptive and whatnot that you guys were presented with before. So there will be that additional stuff for ongoing improvements as well. And then we have, of course, the skate park project. We had our first bit of concrete placement on Monday, which was a huge thing. Starting to really look good. It's only a matter of time until people start coming in there and wanting to skate. So it's coming along. It's looking really good. They're going to be doing concrete this week, and then next week, and then they're gone. They'll be back in second week of September. So, and then the fire repairs, damages, things are progressing really well with that. The storm drains up in the Big Rock neighborhood, they're nearing completion, along with the consolidation of the dewatering system, so things are progressing well. And our Clover Heights storm drain project, where we're putting in the 48-inch line, that's pretty much all installed. They're currently just working on constructing the catch basins and wrapping that up. So that would conclude my updates.
All right, good afternoon. I have a few updates. I would like to start with the presentation that staff did when we attended the Public Works Expo in Chicago this month, and the presentation that we rehearsed here in front of this commission went very well, and it received a lot of interest and professional support with good questions after the presentation, and we found out that other jurisdictions facing similar problems, and that's something that they're very interested at what we're implementing. The traffic signal sync project and safety adaptive that we'll be implementing soon. Then the next update I have is on the snack shack project. We are working with community services, and that project is being scheduled for meetings with stakeholders and then for the commission. The requests were made to look at different options for the building itself, and for different options to where the building is located. So that's something that we're working with a consultant right now on, and will be presented going through the stakeholders and through the commission. Staff is working on projects on PCH, the quick build roundabouts and the Trancas right turn lane. They're very close to for completion of the design phase, and we will be submitting to Caltrans, and we'll update you next time hopefully on the dates to start construction. There are a couple projects that are scheduled for the city council and will be transferred for construction. Those are Ensenal Canyon storm drain and Latico Canyon retaining walls repair. Let's conclude my updates.
And then I have a couple of things. I think last time, not sure, we brought this up, but I think everyone is aware of this, the Zoom Undercross is open now. So staff and Caltrans and Beaches and Harbor, we're all work together, and supervisor's office kind of worked all together to open that back up there, especially before this weekend and Labor Day weekend, so that's up and running. Last week was a major fire drill on, no pun intended, on Guernsey Lake, and getting that together. I'm happy Caltrans really kind of stepped up and worked with the city and kind of, we come up with some solutions, and we're still going to evaluate and kind of see how we can keep the Guernsey Lake going, but we're able to, Caltrans was able to kind of reconnect everything and get it back on. So I want to, they deserve a lot of kudos for what they really stepped up into that. So that's good. And lately I've been working a lot closely with Brandy on all of our hazard mitigation grants and stuff that's going on. And we'll talk about it that way, but getting back to Terry on some of her stuff, I did talk to Janet today. She shared some stuff. I told her to email me. I saw that she emailed me, and I'll be following up with that. There's some few properties and a few things that I need to get to. I need to quadruple myself and send them out everywhere too. So that's some short kind of updates from what I've got going on.
Okay, oh, I'm an item, so, no, I have not.
Okay, commissioner reports, comments, and inquiries.
Okay, I'll go first. Excuse me for being late. The Coast Highway has Caltrans, speaking of our friends out there at the pier, and so both west and east are jammed up. I heard on the radio from Big Rock all the way up the pier. And I had gone up to our house up Rambla to take a picture of the damage done by the contractor for the Army Corps. I was going to send it to Rob and try to get some help to get it fixed, but the road is now all torn up because of SCE's undergrounding efforts. So we don't have to worry about that. They're going to have to fix it anyways. I want to comment on Ryan's point. We really can't deal with that. The council, in terms of that crosswalk, the council made the decision to go forward on it. I agree with you. I think it's silly. There is an overlook there, but you got to remember there's no parking around there either on the beach side. But
You're speaking of the Big Rock one, right?
yeah, the Big Rock. It seems like if we do that, it should be done in the future. I agree, Moonshadow's not coming back. I think it's a wasteful expenditure. And, you know, the bus stop, but why was the bus stop there? There's no help that's going to be there for the homeowners, since there's no homeowners. And the workers at Moonshadows won't be returning anytime soon. If we do it, we should delay. I totally agree, but I suggest you bring that up to council. That's it.
Roy, do you have anything?
I don't.
I had one question about the construction at Corral. Yeah. I don't know how to, like, it goes like 50 to 30.
Oh.
Every time I do it, it's like the people are like going 50.
Yep.
And you're going 30, and they're like honking at you and angry at you. And I mean, it literally just happened on the way here. Like, this car almost rear-ended me, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna get a crazy ticket here. Anything we can do to help that situation? It just becomes like this really intensely odd moment.
I'll have them look at it again and look at it, because they've
There's no cops, no, so you're just like at the
It's kinda
mercy of the
jarring.
people
No,
next to you being like honking and yelling and
No, there
freaking
hasn't.
out.
Yeah, people are getting tickets
Oh,
there
yeah.
too.
Okay, I never see them, I'm like, I go the speed limit, but people get really angry and it's like
Yeah,
road
me
rage when,
Yeah.
it's just kind of nuts right
So
there.
I think they made some tweaks on stuff on their traffic control and so I'll have them look at it and kind of see his.
We make it longer or something.
Something, yeah, we'll have to
Like
look
it's
at it again.
intense, people get super mad.
Yeah.
It's like all the people leaving that are, I don't know, anyway, I just went through it again on the way here and I was like, this is horrible. That's all I have to say. You guys?
I would, good afternoon, everyone. I want to applaud you, Director Bo, for opening up the Zuma underpass, because that is
Yeah, that's
in
right.
my neck of the woods, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect with all the people descending on our beaches, and thank you very much.
It was, me, it was like a little, it was all supervisor's office and beaches and harbor and a little bit of Caltrans, but they did all the kind of stuff, so I was just helping to kind of put like 2 cents.
But it was a bottleneck there for many, many years, so it wasn't an easy task, so I want to thank you.
thorn in our side.
Yeah.
Kind of with that too, there's, like, we're still meeting and developing strategies, short term and medium term and long term. And so there's still things in place that we're gonna evaluate and look to see if we can do to improve that.
Okay, and I also want to celebrate the Guernsey traffic light, because, you know, I raised that in a previous meeting, because so many people in, you know, Malibu Park, Bonsall, that whole neighborhood, they were just saying, please do something, because a lot of people enjoy walking their dogs and crossing the street safely. A lot of new drivers from Malibu High, or, you know, to think of them trying to gun that light and navigate that without a traffic stop is just, frightens me with all the new drivers. But I'm just wondering, that being said, you know, everything that you did to make it happen at the 11th hour to keep it there, I know we're not out of the woods yet, or my understanding is it's not permanent yet, so do we need to have a petition to show the
Not yet.
groundswell of support? Because if
Not
we
yet.
do, I'm happy to, let me know how to
Absolutely, I'll let you know.
how to drive that, because I'm happy to do that.
It's, yeah, we're gonna, Caltrans in the city are still gonna need to develop how we can kind of do more evaluation and look at it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
well, let me know.
We'll do.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah,
so thank you, and I think the elves were out in the middle of the night repainting the crosswalk, because that was taken away and then magically it was all repaired, so. And Deputy Director Hart, I want to thank you for the introduction or the recommendation to interface with regard to Bluffs Park. I've been working with the commissioner in the Parks and Recreation to get rid of the fire debris, and then also interface with the state parks to make sure that they do their part, because there's still a lot of things that are burned that would be fuel for potential fire. So we're working on replacing some of the trees, and we're starting to make headway. We're just trying to get another walkthrough with an arborist to sign off on which trees need the first attention and which ones may need a little bit more time to rebound. So, thank you for that. That's all.
Okay, fantastic. Well, first of all, I apologize for being late. I had a meeting with Supervisor Horvath's team, so I'm going to share what that was about as I go over my update here. I do have some comments, inquiries, and reports. So I want to start with a couple of inquiries. So recently, in our regular meetings with the City Council, a couple of topics came up: the skate parks, and as Ryan, I think, mentioned earlier, the crosswalk to nowhere. And my inquiry is, can the Public Works Commission issue a statement or recommend a policy change in response to a council action? So, for example, recently with the skate park, I feel like there may be reason for consideration of insufficient agenda opportunities for public engagement, lack of opportunity for public comments and suggestions, using the consent calendar for approval of direction without adequately hearing public comments, disposal of used equipment or property versus potential donations, recycling and environmental standards. So I'm kind of presenting this inquiry to the commission and finding out if it's something that we technically can do to issue a statement or recommend a policy change. How would we go about that?
if it's not an agenda, if it's an agendized item, you can go.
At the council, you mean,
It-
the council level?
So what will happen, if there's an agenda item and it's a decision that the commission moves forward and approves and makes a they can make a recommendation, you guys make a recommendation as a group
Through our agenda.
through to the city council.
Okay, so we would
That's
need,
a-
so we
that's
need
the
to come and
procedure.
say, hey, we would like to put this on our agenda. We would talk about it, then we would bring it to the city council.
So we would,
Staff would.
staff would bring it up to,
Okay,
so we would have to look at what you're asking for, seeing if it's something we can.
and I'm kind of giving you a couple of examples to the commissioners. And if we were to move forward, I would obviously want a majority of commissioners to support. So I can share some.
How do we go about doing that?
So again, I think Rob just kind of laid it out. We would bring it back to them. We'd bring it back to.
But we're not really
So
supposed to
taking the
talk
skate park as
offline.
an example,
Yeah.
you would have to come to this commission as whatever the conversation needs to be. You would provide a recommendation to council. Staff would take that recommendation to council in the form of a staff report. And then if it's pulled from consent to calendar, then it would be open for public comment.
Even before that, if there's an item where you're like, we should have this on the agenda, I see myself, Tatiana or Travis, we can discuss it with you, see if it's kind of appropriate, how we can fit it in and how we can do it and accommodate.
And how
Because
much?
there could be situations where information and facts are already in process and things are in process, and it's probably a learning and information sharing session that probably wouldn't need to go beyond that,
Potentially.
potentially.
Okay.
Depends on the.
But that's helpful. Well, and I think relatedly, another inquiry was, the city council has on the regular meeting agenda an opportunity for commission updates. And I just feel like, and I know Scott actually does a pretty good job of kind of presenting them.
And with that, that should be the chair giving an update.
So
And
chair,
like, for
so
example,
it can't be other commissioners, okay.
They can delegate it, but that's.
Sure.
But it's something, like, for example, Joe Drummond was the chair.
Yes,
Her and I would meet probably bi-weekly and before council, and I would help her kind of like, she would have an agenda or things that discussed at the commission level, and I'd make sure she got everything in place, and then she gave an update on what you guys have done and discussed during the commission.
got it.
So would that
So
be,
it's just an
if it's
update.
something that Kevin has, would it be something that, because Kevin and I aren't gonna sit down for coffee and go through it, because I think that's part of the,
Right, so
so we come into your office and talk about it?
if it's something that, like an item that you want to put on the agenda, then you can come and call me, email me, come in, we can talk about it and kind of see, and I can kind of see where it goes. If it's an update at the city council, then that's something that you would have to do and give an update on what you've done in the commission and what things that you discussed and kind of just an overall update, what's kind of going on.
Alright,
If there's a topic that the commission wants to talk about, but not really discussed in here, it's not the time and place at that part of the city council to bring it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But, for example, if Kevin had an item he wanted to bring up, the skate park in this example, he could call Micah, say, hey, I'm thinking this is an issue, I'd like to bring it up to Rob and the staff, and so we could present it, and she could say, sure, go ahead and do it, you're on this issue, and that would, in other words, she has delegated for Kevin to do that. That would be, okay. To come in and talk to you guys to start.
Yes, but at council, it's just.
No, I'm
it's
not,
purely
we haven't gotten to
updates.
council.
Yeah.
What we're doing
Oh,
is
yeah,
to
yeah.
come in to talk to
Oh.
staff and say, hey,
Oh.
we'd like to agendize this
Yeah.
for one of our meetings.
It doesn't, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to come in and say, hey, want to agendize this, okay, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it, and then I can kind of share it, and unless you know what kind of things were kind of coming up that you brought up at the meeting, well, next meeting, we'll be like, hey, this is brought up, and we're gonna try to fit this in and do that. I don't want to make it to where it's like, oh, they gotta, it's,
Kevin doesn't have to bring
Doesn't
it
have
to
to
me,
do
to
that.
you.
No,
We just
okay,
do a draft, yeah.
okay, got it.
Maybe it's
Just
simple.
nice,
Just,
just nice.
yeah.
Yeah, because,
Does that make sense?
and what happens is at the council meetings, very few of the commissioners give any kind of a report.
And that's one of the reasons I brought it up. I just feel like it's an opportunity for
It
our
is.
commission.
Yes.
And it was really good when Joe did it, it was pretty good, it was really kind of laid out everything we talked about in here, and it was pretty comprehensive, it was good. But it's only once a month, rather than
Yeah.
twice, because
Yeah,
it's like
I
that.
would
Yes.
say just once a month, right,
So-
that's all we need to do, right. All right, a few other quick notes, let's just bounce around. So I mentioned before the opportunity potentially with the youth commission. I was just wondering if we can get our students involved with the skate park or snack shack projects. I know Parks and Rec sort of oversees that, but these are public works related. I just think it would benefit us to have our youth involved in those projects in some way, and if Public Works needs to kind of advise or provide the guidance, that'd be fantastic. So, I'm just bringing it up again, if there's anything I can do to help accelerate it. Another point that's come up, we've talked in the past about the city's neighborhood beautification program. And I understand, currently it's a different scenario in East Malibu, but I feel like in West Malibu, there may be an opportunity to move it forward. So while we're rebuilding in East Malibu, maybe we can focus on neighborhood beautification in West Malibu in 2026. So I just wanted to bring it up. It's just an opinion. I know it falls under Public Works. I'd love to see if we can discuss it more in the future. So 2 other quick updates, just to the commissioners' awareness. So today we had a demonstration that was led by Caltrans, hosted by Caltrans in Ventura County with BurnBot on their remote robotic masticator technology for land management and brush removal. I just want to make sure all the commissioners were aware of that demo that went on today. The City of Malibu, we met with BurnBot. We kind of helped coordinate a lot of this activity. Supervisor Horvath teams have been involved, LA County Fire Departments, had many meetings. And most importantly, MRCA is supportive and very interested and attended today's demo. And we're waiting to hear back from them on what they thought. And then lastly, as I mentioned, I was late because we were having more meetings about what's known locally as the peer-to-peer project, the water ferry project, running a boat between our peers. And Supervisor Horvath's team is one of the partners that's intimately involved. We have right now Senator Allen, Supervisor Horvath, Supervisor Hahn, California State Parks, Coastal Commission, City of Malibu, City of Santa Monica, and a few other partners who are week to week involved in this project. The peer-to-peer is a privately funded venture, but the broader vision is a public-private partnership. And I'll just end on, I had an opportunity to speak with Director Dubois back earlier in August before they made their trip to Chicago. And there is the possibility, and Director, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in early September, there's a regional meeting on LA 2028, and we may be able to bring this project up, the potential for a water ferry regional transportation system and the progress that we've made. The Public Works Department may be able to represent that at the LA 2028 meeting. So that's my opinion.
Kevin, could I ask what your opinion was of that BurnBot technology? Because you were at the demo, I couldn't be there.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've had many conversations with them. I think there's great potential. There's still the big question is the terrain in Malibu.
Yeah.
Like even,
hillside.
even today, the focus is on roadside clearance, which we know from our recent conversations is very important for fire resiliency. So they, from what they talked about and what they're showing us, it appears that they're able to do it. They have some great pilot projects that they've done, specifically in Lake Tahoe with similar terrain, but they just haven't done it in Malibu and Santa Monica Mountain. So we're optimistic, but we're trying to get MRCA and LA County Fire to approve the pilot, and then we'll know for sure. Thank you.
But it's remote controlled?
Yes. Yes, the operators are a few hundred yards away.
Do you want to explain what the burn bot is to the public?
BurnBot is again a remote technology. It's basically like having trucks, remote controlled trucks in the mountains, going along, clearing the brush remotely from a distance. And so they have different versions of these masticators, different sizes. They also have, for example, different materials for their wheels, which is very important for environmental considerations. Like, for example, rubber is preferred for many areas in the Santa Monica Mountains. Rubber wheels, but yeah, I mean that's what they are. They're just like remote trucks that are pretty technologically
They
advanced.
grind up all the brush and
They-
don't put it in a.
They grind up all the, and of course, they're outfitted with a lot of computer technology, sensors, that kind of thing. So the masticators are able to
Detect what's good and what's bad.
detect and they've got cameras, so they detect the range, and the operator's seeing that in real time, so they can make determinations on, oh wait, that's indigenous plant, that's not, that's a brush we want to take out, that tree we have to steer around, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Good, first. All right, moving on to number 2, the consent calendar. Any previously discussed items? We don't have any. B, new items, none. And 3, old business. New business. Number 4, a Palisades Fire Federal Emergency Management Agency Public Assistance Update.
So good afternoon, Commissioners. Before I start my presentation, just Chair, we have a few public speakers. I'm going to dual duty here. I'm recording secretary and presenter. So I just want to remind you that after staff presents the presentation, we do have public speakers. This is a dual presentation as well. It's items 4A and 4B. So I'm going to take a pause at 4A for you to ask any questions you may have, and then also to hear the public. And then once we're completed, we'll move into the second part of the presentation for item 4B. So good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I come to you with the FEMA Public Assistance Update. In January 8th, we had a major federal declaration declared for the Palisades Fire. With this declaration, it opened up a funding source for not only the city, but for the county, for the state, and for any tribal nations to be able to apply for assistance for any damages that they incurred. The city's effort to apply for FEMA public assistance, it's at quite a few steps. This process began on January 8th. While we're active in our EOC, we are already documenting the damages. We are already in conversations of what those costs can potentially be and the severity of those damages and what some of those repairs may or may not look like. That starts from day one. While the EOC is activated, only a few days into any event, including the Palisades, we were already communicating that information to the state, as well as to our county partners at the Office of Emergency Management. Part of the rush of information was we had a new administration coming in, and we had one currently that wanted to hear from us and make sure that we were heard for what was going on here in LA County. So when you have a federal declaration declared, by the way, I gave you all printouts because it's kind of tiny and font size, there are various categories that become available to the agencies. In this particular disaster, we had categories A through G. Then there's a new category that went in effect the day before the disasters, category I. And since 2018, there's another category called category Z. This is management costs. So there's some brief descriptions on the screen to each of these types of categories. And in further slides, I'll show you where our damages fell within these categories. But in general, category A, that's debris removal. This is all the debris that you would see on public property as well as private property. There's some parameters how we work through the private property process, but everything that you see the Burns crew do in the field, a lot of our contractor will be doing is removing that debris from the city's right-of-way and or public property. Then you have category B, which is emergency protective measures. This includes the activation of our EOC, any costs that incurred with staff working the EOC, putting out sandbags, K-rails, anything to protect the safety of the public in the immediate event. While it's happening actively, this is how we're protecting our city, our community. Moving into category C, we have roads and bridges. This is part of the public infrastructure categories. Here we'll see things like guardrails, it could be street signs, sidewalks, depending on what those damages are. Category D, water control facilities. This doesn't happen too often, but in this particular disaster, we had damages. This includes the Big Rock community with the storm drain infrastructure up there. We'll have damages in there, and I'll explain that a little bit further. Category E, buildings and equipment. We did not have anything in this disaster, but that could have been if we had damages. Oh, we do, actually, City Hall. If City Hall roof was damaged, it would have been considered category. It happened in the Franklin fire, not this disaster, but it would have been considered category E because it was damage to the actual facility. Category F, that's restoring and repairing public utilities, water, power, sewage, and communications. If we owned our water, if we owned our power, if we owned our own sewage plant, which we have the Civic Center wastewater treatment plant, it was not damaged during this event, but had it been, it would have qualified. And then if we owned our own telecommunications of sorts. Category G, parks, recreation, and other facilities. We did have damages here. That was the Las Flores Creek Park. Franklin Fire, that would have been the Bluffs Park. So just to give you some ideas of where those costs would fall. The brand new category, which we're all learning how to navigate, is category I. This is building codes, code enforcement, floodplain management. Really how we're applying this particular category is the rebuild center and all the efforts that we're putting into rebuilding the city. And then category Z, this is indirect and direct costs of managing the grants in the process. So a lot of my time, Tatiana's time, Rob's time, and other support staff that is going through the PAA process, the public assistance process, of identifying these damages, documenting the damages, and working with FEMA representatives, and later on down the road, Cal OES representatives, state representatives. So for this disaster, for the Palisades, we reported 16 projects that were submitted. The total estimated premier as of today, the repairs are 12.4. I know that that's an estimate. I expect that to go higher by at least a couple million. I do. So, for category A in this particular disaster, one of the unique things that happened in this disaster and this declaration is there was 180 days of 100% cost reimbursement. This covered category A, which we'll go over right now, and category B in the next slide. So any costs that incurred before July 8th, that will be covered 100% reimbursed to the city, as long as it's an eligible expense. That's why you see the breakdown right here with debris removal. The first 0 to 180 days will be reimbursed by the federal government 100%. So we expect to see the entire cost of $316,025 completely reimbursed. But when we come down to 181 plus days, we will see a 75% reimbursement from the federal government. It changes. And then the state will cover 18.25 and the city will be responsible for 6.75. of the cost. Right now, our estimated is at $344,250. It's an estimate. Once all costs are in, we'll reconcile that with the federal government once we close out this disaster. For private property debris removal, we estimate about $1.2 million in costs. What this is properties that didn't go with Army Corps of Engineers, they opted out, but they also have not cleared their own properties. And they have not submitted any paperwork to Community Development Department to clear their properties properly. So we are working with the city's attorney's office to get warrants to get into the properties. It's a process, it's a legal one, of how we are gonna go and remove the debris from the properties. There's a select number, there's not that many, but the cost is about $1.2 million. Moving on to category B. This category again is emergency protective measures. The very first identified cost, that is $1.6 million. We will receive most likely all of this cost. We throw everything to see what sticks to the wall. Throw the spaghetti, if it sticks, great, if it doesn't, we've done our best. But we threw all costs that occurred within this category for 0 to 180 days, $1.6 million. We expect at least 90% of this to come back, all eligible costs, if not more.
And what does that mean, protective measures?
Thank you for asking. That'll be our EOC costs for activating the city's EOC. As you know, we relocated on multiple locations. We went to Westlake because we couldn't stay here. We went to City of Camarillo when Westlake had their own fire in the area. And then we came back to Pepperdine, and then lastly came back to City Hall. But through all those relocations, there was costs involved in that. We tracked it all, keep great records, and we turn it into FEMA.
Cool.
For City Hall smoke damage, obviously there was some damage to City Hall in terms of smoke. So we had some really cool air scrubbers inside City Hall, cleaning the air in here. We had a cleaning crew cleaning the inside and outside of City Hall. That cost was $103,438. This is actual costs. We expect to see all of that reimbursed at 100%. Two more projects that were identified. One was the septic tanks on private property. There's a select number of properties that have septic tanks on the beach side that have not been removed. And right now there is an environmental health concern about those septic tanks. So this is the cost to cap those tanks, to pump them and cap them. And this is an estimated cost of $320,000. And this will, Yolanda's department will be managing that project, and I'll be working with FEMA to document it. And then we have emergency security services. So you may remember that council approved a contract for, I think their company name is Covered 6, and they're out patrolling the area in the burn scar, keeping an eye on private property. That cost is actually a reimbursable category under this particular category. It's a reimbursable project, and that is the total cost of their contract. It's considered estimate at right now, as that contract has not completed. We expect to see 75% of that cost reimbursed.
How many days was that for?
That contract runs through the end of September, I believe.
3 months, was it?
It's a short period of time. That's the full contract amount. If the city elects to extend that contract, I would update FEMA of the extension of the contract and the anticipated cost. And the cost will be updated.
So it's 75% federal, and do we get?
18.25 for the state.
We get the 18.
And then the city will cover the 6.75.
Got it.
Was that ever 100%?
No, it wouldn't have been. Again, it would be services rendered within the first 0 to 180 days. At that time, we had the National Guard in place. I think they left at the end of June, if I remember correctly, just before 4th of July. I'm sorry? Was it May? I thought they were here for June too. Category C. Oh, you're right, Brian. I just remembered my spreadsheet. Category C, we have roads and bridges. There are 4 identified projects, one of which was the guardrail replacement project. These were burnt guardrails within the burn scar, all in the Palisades fire. We're talking Los Flores, Big Rock, and other areas. Those costs are, I think we're only looking at maybe another $20,000, $30,000 additional cost to that. So this is pretty much right on the money of what we're going to be asking for reimbursement. Again, this falls in the category of the 75, 18.25, 6.75 ratio. We had some walls that were damaged in the Ramla Vista area. These are also the estimated cost, $160,000. We had citywide walkway repairs. We have an estimated cost of $55,000. We began some of those repairs, but we also have the undergrounding going on in the community, in the burn areas, so some of those repairs have not been completed just yet.
And where are those walkways, Brandy?
Lost Floors, right, Travis? Thank you. Travis is on call to answer any questions regarding the field. Citywide signage replacement project. A lot of, obviously, your signage out in the streets were damaged and or don't exist right now, and we're putting them back in place. Starting from Tuna all the way to the end of the burn scar, and this also includes regulatory signs. So as the signs come in, we are replacing them in the field, and we're documenting that information, and we're submitting that to FEMA. This is our estimated cost of $150,000.
What percentage is category C?
Please hold all questions. That's okay. Category D, water control facilities. So we had 3 projects that hit this category. Calle de Barco facilities, you received an update a few months ago from Yang Associates on the damages that they incurred as part of the dewatering facilities in that area. Our estimated cost to repair that is about $278,000. I mean, it's an estimated cost. We have not completed that project yet, so once we have final costs, we will be submitting final documentation. Big rock drainage facilities, that too was already presented to the commission by Yang Associates. This is the dewatering facilities in that area. You following me?
Okay.
Okay. And then lastly, we have the big rock storm drain replacement. That's the big, large storm drains that were damaged. Currently, we're at 2.25 in estimated cost, but it's gonna go up a couple more million.
How come?
We're not done.
Oh, so just your initial beginning
Yes.
is making you realize.
Oh, no, it's just like, we were just
It was nuts.
get it going.
We started with around this number and we are gonna go higher. It was just an estimate. We know it's gonna go higher. Next category, category G, Parks and Rec, Parks, Recreation, and other facilities. The only facility we had was the Lost Flores Creek Park. We estimate those costs at 2.1. Interesting on the funding on this, FEMA will be supporting the funding as well as our insurance. This is a covered facility as part of the city's insurance. And then LA County granted this city a small dollar amount, I forget the dollar amount, but there'll be some funding from LA County as well to help repair the park. Category I, as I mentioned, this is a brand new category. And this are the costs to rebuild the city. This is the code updates that we've been working on, the administration of the floodplain, FEMA zones that are out in the area. All of this is about 1.6. This is pretty much actual costs. It took us through June 30th. And we'll see what FEMA comes up with. It's a brand new category. We're just submitting a whole lot of documentation. How many people we've met with, what properties we're meeting with, all the GPS coordinates of all the impacted properties. If you would lose your mind on the amount of documentation we have to provide. Thank God for support staff and GIS experts. So next steps. As you can see, there's quite a few steps, and to be honest, there's a lot more in between, but I consolidated this. Early after a disaster, within about 60 days of a disaster, we attend what's called an applicant's briefing. It just kind of gives us the playbook on what's going to happen, how much projects can cost in different categories, and what was approved and what was not, and how to comply. Then we submit a request for public assistance. I did that, that was great. Then we go into an exploratory call. They call staff. What happened in your city, give us a very, very brief overview. And then we do what's called a recovery scoping, and we go a little bit more in depth about our damages. After that, we do what's called site inspections. FEMA's inspectors came out to the sites, they worked with Travis in the field, and they went to all the different damage sites. They went up into Big Rock, they went into Calle de Barco. They went, I don't know, where else did you go? Las Flores?
Las Flores, Upper Rambla.
Yeah.
Carbon.
So they document in the field real time what these damages look like. They ask for GPS coordinates from us, photos from us, but they also are logging their own photos. It's field verification of what the damages were. And then right now, in the last few weeks, we provided them all the information to complete the scope of each of these projects, describing the damages, providing documentation, invoices if necessary, copies of contracts, our procurement policy, our insurance policy. They go through everything to ensure that these are eligible costs, that the scope of work falls under the parameters of the declaration. And currently, we are waiting for cost development and validation. They are reviewing everything we submitted, including the kitchen sink. So they've got everything. And then lastly, it's obligation. We are in the longest length right now. Cost validation and development will take the longest in obligation. You're looking at 6 to 12 months right now for us to get to obligation. And remember, we started in January. It is a lengthy process. It is a very detailed process.
Brandy, is this only for Palisades Fire and not
Only
Franklin?
Palisades.
That's what I
I go through the whole another series of steps as it relates to other disasters like Franklin
Yeah.
or Woolsey Fire. We did it for Woolsey Fire, and it takes time.
Thanks.
Is your last slide?
Oh, was I talking too much?
No, just ask.
Yes, this is my last slide, so commissioner comments and or public comment. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't tell me you were gonna comment.
So I just want to say how amazing Brandy does at this.
Absolutely, that
It's, I mean, unfortunately, we've had a lot of practice. But yeah, for this Palisade Fire, like all of us were all on step. We knew exactly what needed to be done, and we're doing all this stuff and getting prepped for all of our reimbursement. Brandy was kind of like, I tasked Brandy to be the head of everything coming in for all the FEMA reimbursements, and as you can see, she does a really good job organizing and getting everything. It's a lot of work from all of us getting that. That's what was 12 million that we have outstanding. It's gonna probably be like 15, 18 million, I think.
I think it'll be close to
Something like
15.
Something like that, and that's a lot of money for our city to be out kind of waiting. So it's important to get all of this documentation, get all these things out, and so far, with Brandy's help and coordination and our relationship with FEMA and CalVS, it's been really good. It's been a real smooth process for, but just like Brandy said, this cost development validation is that's when they have to get everything all together and stuff and make sure they have everything in place, because they have a lot of processes and kind of procedures that they need to follow to make sure we get reimbursed.
I have a question. This seems like a job in itself. Like, aside from our city, you guys, your obligation to keep the city going on the path that when you meet, you say these are our goals for the year, 4 year, whatever. This seems like a huge, like, deterrent. When you go through this, I mean, now it's becoming a little more common, is there an ability to, hire or have outside help that then you put into the bill? Right, where you're like, Brandy gets an assistant and, I'm getting promoted. It takes away from from all of us at the city, because you guys have goals, and this is obviously a lot of work.
So like real quick, I think
Excellent.
it's before you get to kind of that part of it, before you get home. Yes, that there was an emergency contract to have a consultant come on board, and we'll get into more detail of what they do too, but they've been instrumental on stuff and supported their, like, it's like literally there is a doppelganger of Brandy on the other side, and they were so good together, and they know how to manage and move around in FEMA and get the reimbursements and get everything together. So it's been, that's been very, very helpful for us to kind of be able to do some things too. But it's been, a lot of stuff on this is Brandy's like very top priority of everything else too.
That's awesome, that's great.
So,
Brandy, you're never allowed to retire.
So,
Oh, not yet.
so I'm like extremely proud of pushing it so far,
Thank
but
you.
it's can be a big up to the city.
Yeah, it's great,
So,
thank you.
When is the
It's really-
cutoff
What is the cutoff to submit, like, as you notice other things that need to be repaired, like, is there
The
a
cutoff was some time ago.
So what do you do when you say, hey, it was 2 million, but we estimate it to be 5?
That's different. You're talking about cost versus identifying additional
Oh.
damages. Those are two different conversations.
So that's
I can
why,
answer that though.
but that's why it's important that we work all together. We know, hey, this is what, okay, start to get the damages right away.
I mean,
Because you forgot to tell me something.
Okay, just get the damages right away, and when, like Travis, myself, and everyone out there, we've got tasks to do to make sure we identify and get documentation. We know what's damaged right away.
Well, missing something could be $250,000.
So, and like Rob said, it's unfortunate that this is not our first rodeo. So, as I'm sitting in the EOC and Rob and Travis are in the field, we already know things to be looking for. And it's very unfortunate that we are so seasoned in this conversation, but we are, and it's to the city's benefit. When they're telling me we've got burnt trees, I'm thinking, okay, trees is another project. Walkways are gone, oh, gotta write that down. Like, I'm already in step with these guys in the field of what's happening. And they know to take pictures while it's happening. They know to get GPS coordinates on those pictures. The only reason why we know these things is because we didn't have it at one point.
but for example, like in the case of the Franklin, post-Franklin here, I'm working with Parks for the Bluffs Park. That wasn't part of the number, so
It
how
was not,
does
because it's
that
a
get,
different damage.
how, would you be able to submit, is that too late to submit?
I am
to have
submitting
covered?
that, but I'm
For the
submitting it under the
75%.
Franklin fire.
Correct, not for this, but for.
And it's a different declaration. So Franklin did not get a federal declaration. However, the governor recently amended his declaration and it opened up a source of funding for the city to go after damages to the city's property. So Bluffs Park being one of the damaged infrastructure, including the debris from all the trees, I am working with Cal State representatives to recoup those funds, but that's a whole different disaster. This information is specific to the Palisades.
And I heard you say we have insurance on like structures and buildings
Let's
for
go
the city.
public comment first, then we'll go through.
Yeah.
I just have a few
Yeah,
questions.
So I'm
Go
gonna,
ahead.
you're not wrong.
Let's go.
Let's do public comment and then I'll be happy to answer additional
But
questions.
if Kevin has a question, he should still get it like the other four have.
Let's just,
Yeah.
we went too far into that.
Yeah. I got all happy and,
Yeah, she.
As you should.
so Micah, you have a few public speakers. You can
Okay.
go in any order you wish. Just let me double check the time before
I'll
you
go
go,
first.
because it's 3
I'll go
minutes.
Okay, Ann?
Okay. So first of all, I'm not here to do gotcha. I live here. I'm your neighbors. I'm your neighbor. One thing is, you might have seen me around. I do meetings. There's other meetings. And on Monday, the city council voted to record all these. So in a way, it's kind of practice, and we're all kind of learning. So it's not gotcha. I'm here. I'm a friendly. The other thing too is, one of the issues we're having with FEMA is it becomes very political, and certain people, the federal government is, that kind of stuff. So what we need to do is kind of be neutral and respect the folk that are in power, which is President Trump and Governor Newsom. And we need to get the business, as we notice we have new business, of getting FEMA funding color-free. And so I posted today on Nextdoor that really just takes a stroke of a pen by the right person to get that FEMA funding released to this community. Regardless of the fact that Covered 6 is in there, you got a bridge to nowhere, which we're still investigating exactly what we have to do with the bridge to nowhere and Covered 6. I don't know why they.
You mean the crosswalk to nowhere?
Oh, well, the bridge, yeah, same thing, whatever it might be.
Oh, okay.
Throwing stuff in there is clogging the ability and making it more difficult to get that stroke of the pen signed and funded. Because, believe it or not, Malibu has friends in very high places. And we need to move on to other communities and take care of their issues. This is very small, but it's very dear. It's a very little community, and you guys have a lot of influence. And we want to take care of business here, so we move on. So you guys can advocate your city council about the sidewalk to nowhere, the bridge to nowhere, as I call it, and also Covered 6, that kind of stuff. because the city council is the boss. They have a chairman of the board, which is the mayor. Business, you guys are part of it. And unfortunately, I'm gonna be subject to everything you're talking about, your phones and everything else, the way I dress, PRAs, I mean, God knows what's gonna happen. So all I can do is guide you. But I'll tell you this, we're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I mean, I went to sleep at midnight, got up at 5, because Washington is,
I'm sorry, it's
that's
time.
it, thank you.
Okay. Next, did Ryan have a, wait,
Brian.
So, there was approximately 6 weeks that Covered Six has, I guess, been eligible for reimbursement at the 100% level for the Palisades fire, for patrolling PCH and the Big Rock community and parts of Las Flores. And I think their contract actually includes Franklin Fire Area. I don't know if they are. I've never seen them up in Harbor Vista, for instance, but their expenditures going to $600,000-$700,000 for those 4 guys to drive around town. This is a big debacle for the council because they funded it, but it looks like only 6 weeks is eligible for the FEMA reimbursement. And I'm wondering if that taper down to 75% in any of the future categories, or if that's just money out the window. The other is from Franklin Fire. It appears that probably about 20, it looks like they're oak trees that were planted under the beautification portion of the Civic Center Way Safety Improvements project from 20, whatever it was, 17, 18, died. That they're not green, they're not coming back. And that was, I believe, Franklin Fire, and I don't know how much is that is state, if you're kind of waiting on the state and see, and then if that comes back, any of the city's insurance for replacing those trees, but we know how much they were, because we just put them in a few years ago, as part of the bid. And then, I saw you had signage, but I was wondering about pavement damage to certain city streets, if that was all covered, because that shifts the schedule of how many remaining years the road was good for. And it's kind of nice if we get to redo it now, we got a few extra years down the line, but to reset that schedule. But of the $1 million of private security, is that exclusively Covered Six, or was there anything else in that category for the Palisades? And is that an estimate, or are we already at $1,060,000 of billed submissions for that? And then, let's see, I think that was probably most of what I had to say. Oh, the trees at Las Flores Park.
that's gonna be time.
Okay, is that 100%?
Okay. Anything relating to the Franklin fire was not on this agenda. So I don't have any updates for that particular question. As it relates to Covered Six, everything was submitted to FEMA, including the contract. The contract cost is what was shown on the slide. They will go through that particular contract, and if it qualifies for 100%, they will itemize the 100%, reimburse the city at 100%, and if it only qualifies for the 75%, then that's what they will reimburse the city. But all the documents indicate the dates of which they worked and where they worked. In fact, I had to provide reports on where they were working because the contract does call out 2 separate fires. And with that information, they will make the determination through their cost evaluation process.
Can you
Did I cover
bookend
all your questions?
Can you bookend the times though for that estimate of $1 million and whatever was that?
They were given that information.
Oh, but what was it? Is it the date that's already passed, or is that a future-looking date?
You mean the 1.06?
Yeah, because the city's contracted into the future for that.
The 1.06 references the entire contract. The contract goes through September.
Okay.
So it would be future costs within the contract and costs that have already incurred. Did I hit all your questions? I feel like there was a third one.
let's see,
Yep,
trees in Las Flores.
Trees in Las Flores, so the Community Services Department is managing that project, and they are working through all sources of funds. And all that information is being funneled back up to FEMA.
Are burn trees, were they part of those 6 categories you showed earlier?
It's specific to Las Flores, it's within the scope of Las Flores.
Right, well, my general question is
This is
tree,
a discussion.
I know, but were trees an asset of the city that FEMA reimburses for at all?
Trees overall do qualify with FEMA, as it relates to public property,
Just public.
okay?
Okay.
All right, that's all commissioner comments.
I've got some questions.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 3. First one, the category A, private property debris removal, 1.2 million
Yes,
for properties that did not use Army Corps, did not use private,
correct.
and where, I mean, are these properties that we don't know the owners or the owners can't be contacted?
Yolanda's
Second
working
homes?
through that process with the city attorney's office of locating the property owners and how to work through access to those properties.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of information on it, other than what I know to build the scope of the project.
Do you have any, I'm just curious, do you have any idea how many properties that is?
Oh, I'm gonna misspeak if I give you a number.
I mean,
I'm
the
not
only
certain
reason,
of the
the
one
only
in my
reason I
head.
ask is because if I'm even being really generous, 720 homes burned, let's say generously $50,000 for debris removal each, that comes up to 3.6 million for all 720. This would, by my math, that would be 1 out of every 3. That's over 200 homes.
Yolanda had estimates from her staff. I don't have the breakdown of how it was computed, but that was given to me by Yolanda's staff.
That's
Based on the number of properties and the estimated cost to remove the debris from those properties.
That's an extraordinary number.
It is. But we have to provide all the documentation for it. So that, again, is an estimate, that's why I use that language.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna know until the invoices come in and what that cost really looks like.
It'd be nice to know how many and which and where. I mean, because that would just that would give us, shed some insight into how many absentee owners were impacted by the fire.
I just don't know it off the top of my head. I did know it when I wrote it, but I don't remember today.
Second question, can you
Sure.
go into a little greater detail on the septic tanks on private property, 320,000?
Mhm.
That is, again, so what is that expenditure?
Again,
reimbursing
there's
for?
properties on the beach side. It's a small number of properties on the beach side that have not dealt with the damage to their septic tanks. So they will need to be pumped and capped. And if the homeowners have not done so by a certain timeline, then the city has to go in and do it.
So this is for pumping and capping, not replacing?
That's correct.
Okay, wow, that's also a huge number. Gee whiz. All right, and then my last question, this is a little bit obscure, but
Yes.
because Malibu doesn't have a preservation commission and, building preservation like a lot like Pasadena, for example, or even Los Angeles. It is my understanding that had we had one, FEMA would reimburse for restoration of or repair of historic buildings. Does anyone know if that's true?
There are a number of areas in the city that are on the historic register.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, none of those were damaged in the meetings that I was in
The
with
Malibu
FEMA.
courthouse was destroyed completely. It's the oldest building in Malibu.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, but it's private property, I guess. Okay.
But it still should be.
No, but it wouldn't be
should have
something
been-
that I would work on in terms of the public
I mean, this is my
assistance.
question, is because do we know if that was, and I'm asking this because it was a gut punch, it was a double gut punch, which is going by and seeing the oldest building in Malibu, gutted, and then driving by the other day and seeing that it isn't even there, that even the ruins aren't there.
Yeah.
That's like seeing Greek ruins destroyed, the closest thing that we have to them.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if there isn't, I mean, it's like Will Rogers' house, it'll never be back. You can put a facsimile of it
Sure.
there, but at least the site is relevant. It's still a historic site. Do we know if that was on any register, and if so, is there any way to get FEMA money for that?
I don't know. It's not part of the public assistance process. I would have to look into that. It's
Would
not.
you mind?
I do not mind,
appreciate that, thanks.
Anyone else? I have a few questions. Well, so first, just briefly, I just want to echo all the the kudos. This is so important for the city, and I think what I'm seeing, the progress is just tremendous. It's really encouraging and promising. I also just wanted to echo what Commissioner Major pointed out about this private property debris removal. It just seems like a high number, so it'd be wonderful to better understand that. With Category A, I was curious, does citywide debris removal, does that include the U.S. Army Corps?
Does not.
Because that's a separate,
No, this is just city properties that our maintenance crews remove debris.
okay. Second question, in the beginning, the intro, you mentioned a Category Z management cost.
Yes.
That's just not something,
We won't see that until we go through the closeout process. And what we'll do then is we'll go back to our tracker, see how much time we're spending on the administration of this grant as they get obligated. And then we will be working with FEMA on documenting
so
that and
a
providing it.
possibility.
Oh, it's 100% possible.
Okay, great. And then last two questions. Do you have the total cost, actual and estimated, with all these categories? Do you know?
12.4.
12.4. And then do you have the total amount estimated for refund by either at the federal level FEMA or the state, based on those percentages you gave?
No, because right now it's too fluid. I
Okay.
won't know that probably for almost a year.
Is there a range of the
Well, some,
possibility?
like I said, some of these are gonna fall under 100% reimbursed by the federal government, and then others are gonna go through a split process of the
That's a
75-25.
good idea of trying to.
We can come back with
We
it
can
later.
kind of like.
That'd be
No,
helpful.
that's a good,
Yeah, I can bring an update once I have
that's
more
a good,
information.
that's a good idea.
Great, thank you. That's all I have.
One question to piggyback on what Wade said. Would it be appropriate, and I'm wondering the best way to do this, to ask Yolanda, as Wade was requesting, to get the number of homes on debris removal and septic tank capping, just so we had an idea, and then email that figure to us?
I can look into it.
Thank you.
Is that the way to go about it, Brandy? Is
I mean, I
for
could bring
you-
them an update once I have, again, the information that Kevin would like, and then I would have more information as those projects start to come to formation, and maybe some properties have already adhered and no longer are relevant to this conversation. I won't
yeah.
know until we get further down the road.
Because I was thinking, yeah, like, certainly I can email and talk to Yolanda, but then I can't share it with the other commissioners.
Yeah. This can be an update down the road, and I will provide
Oh, okay.
more information.
I think it's good for the community too, because one of the details that people just don't have post-fire, because, and not for any derelictions, it's just the chaos, but is, you know, how many homes were lost for people who live here? How many lost for people who don't live here? How many do we not even know who owns it? You know, there are, all these questions are kind of in the ether, and, you know, whenever we ask people, they're like, I don't know.
So,
So it'd be nice to
so
get some
helpful
more.
kind of like quarterly if there's change here,
Yeah.
kind of bring it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the cutoff? You said there's a cutoff date for when people, like for that 1.2, the cutoff date for the septic for people to do the work? Because maybe it's a
I know that
cutoff.
it's in my documentation that I gave to FEMA, but I don't recall it off the top of my head.
Not even,
But
yeah.
there were very specific dates that the homes that were impacted had to adhere to.
Is that gone? Is that passed?
It's definitely passed.
Oh, it is?
And in fact, I believe Yolanda has already released the request for qualifications to get contractors on board to do this scope of work. Because we have to follow the city's procurement process, so we have to acquire a pumping contractor that would be able to go out there and pump and cap these septic systems.
So it sounds like.
So in
building
fact,
safety
these
and
costs
all
are completely just in conversation with various pumping companies. Like, if we had so many gallons, how much does it cost? I'm gonna know a more solid number once we get a contractor on board to administer the work. That hasn't happened yet. But because of FEMA's timelines, and they do not give us time extensions currently, we had to give our best guess estimate forward to keep the projects moving through the process. And they will be refined as time goes on through what's called an RFI process, request for information. We'll keep refining this information with FEMA. That's why it takes so long to get to obligation.
We're going on to
Additional
B.
questions? Okay.
Anybody else?
No.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to 4B.
Tracy, thank you very much for your presentation on public assistance program. I will do a presentation on hazard mitigation grant, and again, a lot of credit goes to Brandy. She runs this grant also, and to Rob's vision of what needs to be done as part of this mitigation. So this program is actually also run by FEMA, but you see this terminology as a sub-application application. This is because it's a two-tier program. Local agency like ours applied to the state with sub-application, and then they apply to FEMA. So we've been working with California Governor's Office of Emergency Services on this program, and we identify projects that can qualify for this program. And it includes 5 of the projects. One of them, the first one we're presenting here, is the codes and standards. And this project includes hazard mitigation grant application for funding to operate the fire rebuild center. And it will cover cost of the consultants, staff time, and other expenses to provide services to the community. And again, we have an estimated cost of $11 million with city share of 2.750. And the formula for this program is 75% to 25%. The next project is telecommunication undergrounding. I know that's a very important project for everyone who's here and for people who attended this meeting. And this includes the undergrounding of existing telecommunication facilities serving Big Rock, Las Flores, Rambla Pacifico, Rambla Vista, and Carbon Mesa neighborhoods. And the removal and relocation of these facilities will remove the wooden poles and lines that are overhead lines, and which eventually will ease the accessibility during natural disaster, reduce debris and lumber production, and may improve communication facility during evacuation. The estimated cost of this project is $17 million, again with the city share of $4,250,000. The next project that is included in this category is traffic signal backup power. And what this includes is the backup power system that we're looking into the power source units that will be placed next to the traffic signal on Pacific Coast Highway. And the system we're looking into will actually extend the power supply to traffic signals to 32 to 52 hours after their power has been cut off. So it will not only help in case of the disaster, but also for public safety power shuttle. And again, estimated cost is $2 million.
Sorry.
What? Sorry.
This is your estimated cost.
Oh, $600,000 in the city. Okay, I just bumped it up. We're asking for another $1.5 million.
I got trigger happy.
And the city share is $150,000. Okay, now we're on the Big Rock drainage repair project. And this is looking into the mitigation of regrading and installing liners to reduce water infiltration. So basically it's in the Big Rock area, which is the landslide area, and it's not only repair of what was damaged by the fire, but it's actually improvement of that storm drain swale, which we're looking to rebuild with clay liner and turf reinforcement, which will maintain the slope stability, will help to maintain slope stability. And this is $2 million estimate project with $500,000 city share. The last fifth project is the private property wildlife mitigation, and this relates to home wildfire assessment and recommendation for best practices, how to do home hardening and defensive space. And city is requesting $1.4 million with share cost of $350,000.
What is the wildlife?
Wildfire.
Wildfire.
Oh, sorry, it's,
Wildfire.
I was typing fast. Okay.
Is
Wildfire.
Get rid of that wildlife.
Mitigate
Get rid of it, mitigate it.
I
We think we
apologize,
are.
typo on the slides.
Concrete everything.
Is
Oh,
that,
hold on, I still got more.
So
I know, but I want
for
to stop right
this,
there. but-
No.
the timeline for this is different from the public assistance because this program actually kicked following the public assistance program. So we are right now in the notice of intent. That step is completed and we're working to submitting the application. So we already developed the scope of work for each of this project and working with Cal OAS on submitting all the sub-applications. One of the projects already went to the city council on August 25th to authorize the funding match letter. That was the codes and standards project, and the following projects scheduled for city council meeting in September for the single day.
Chair Bellsburg, we do have public comment on this as well.
Okay. Same? Who's making the?
Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Of the 150,000 city match for backup power for traffic signals, I think we only really have 3 traffic signals that are 100% city signals. The one at Webway at Civic Center and the one at Civic Center, Malibu Canyon Road. And let's see, where's the third one? Winter Canyon and Civic Center Way. So is that 50,000 for each of those signals, or are we expected to pay for Caltrans signals? Because I think we're like on phase 3rd version of trying to get Caltrans signals to work on PCH. Whether they were originally, I think it was somebody bring a generator quick, and then I think we turned into let's do battery backup as an automatic intermediate step until a generator could show up to key ones. And then I guess the big question these days is, can we build a vault into the ground, like let's say a Webway where there's sidewalks, and just drop a Tesla battery down in there and hope nobody steals it, and that basically the thing will run the traffic signal for 3 weeks. I mean, if you can drive a Tesla around town for 300 miles, you ought to be able to run a traffic signal for a month. So my point is, I think maybe we should skip this dragging around generators with required fuel and plugging them in and chaining them to the poles so people don't steal the generators. If we can somehow create an embedded, hardened, entombed battery in the ground that nobody can really steal very easily, and so we could just be once and done, forget it. These Tesla batteries last 10 years. So that's my suggestion as well as a question. And then there was was it 4.2 million or something that was the city's share component for burying phone lines. And where is that for? And how much of the that? Is the state going to pick up the tab for some of that? Isn't that on PCH? Or is this eligible for assessment district, code upgrade, insurance deduction, pass-through code upgrade? So the city is not subsidizing 4.2 million to bury what's obviously view obstruction in certain neighborhoods, and then other neighborhoods are going to expect the same thing because why not? Because it's not power safety, this is hardening of the telecom network. And I know there's Senator Stern and others have proposed legislation to harden utilities, so if we could get a state grant for that.
Okay, any other questions?
It's up to you guys.
I have a couple questions. And on that same slide, Randy, that, because I know that was something that in various meetings Rob was trying to come up with, because the telecoms, they just couldn't afford it unless we did something. The city's share, is that out of pocket from the city, or is that something that we can get reimbursed somewhere along the line?
Great question. And that's something that's being developed and looked at throughout, not only from city, county, state. So that's just, we have to identify what our share is from there. How we come up with that as part of it, there's like all kinds of different ways of doing it. I think like Ryan mentioned, assessment district.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different ways to come up with that 4.2. So it's just, right now, that's the percentages and how we can get to there. Is there other opportunities to cover the cost? Yeah. But right now, we just gotta get it out. We gotta get the funding.
Got it,
We
this
gotta
is
go
just
through it.
preliminary.
Yeah.
And then on the traffic signal backup power, the city share 150, but most of this, why do we need backup? Is because Edison keeps shutting things down, right? Why don't we get Edison to pay for a large part of that?
Great question. That's in the works. That's kind of where we're.
Yeah, okay.
It's stuff. So believe me, there's a lot of work being done. The traffic signal backup power is for those traffic signals on PCH. This has been a very bad issue on PCH, safety-wise, on here. And I think there are some other opportunities, like I mentioned too, the funding the city share and what we can do there. But there's two kind of technologies that we're looking into. One of them is a battery-powered unit that goes out there that has instantaneous power backup that provide 32 to 52 or even more longer. And there's no need to have anybody out there, deploy them, do anything, and they're connected. They'll automatically transfer a switch and we can check them and see how things are going. The other option is kind of like what Ryan mentioned, but it's a bigger cabinet. Both sides by there that will hold a series of lithium batteries that will provide 52, and if you have multiple cabinets, they can go 104 hours of battery backup. And then a combination of both of those together, you can have the cabinet and then have these other ones connected in there for even way longer periods. So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of things that we're looking into. And
I mean, because that's just for the fires, but they shut off the power here all the time, you know,
this
4 months out of the year.
This will give us the opportunity for not only PSPS, if something happens to those signals, power goes out,
They switch
the
off.
signal has its own battery backup system. When that battery backup goes out, then this will go on. So,
And I had a question too about when you said the scope for the undergrounding, for these areas, was this just kind of the beginning preliminary of this is the areas that we want to underground and eventually all of Malibu is underground?
that would be awesome and great. It's something, this is how we can get started on. This is a hazard mitigation grant, and since this is in the fire perimeter for Palisades, we can actually apply for this grant in there. Are there other grants and other opportunities? Probably will come up that we can look into, but this gets us going. This gets our collaboration.
So you need a fire to be able to get this.
Not necessarily, it's just, this gets us
You're
away.
taking advantage of
They're
it.
doing Topanga.
For this particular program, yes, it's
Yep.
a particular
They should.
disaster, but
They are,
yes,
they're
it's
doing
very-
that. Topanga's a nightmare to try to.
And with the telecommunications undergrounding, who's involved? Because I feel like there are several partners who are,
All of them.
yeah, can you just tell them, there's Frontier, Verizon, is Southern California Edison?
No.
Because they're doing it separately,
Yeah.
right? They're doing it themselves.
So you got two,
So you-
no, there's one.
who else do we have?
Spectrum.
Spectrum,
Frontier.
Starts with a C.
And Castle, whoever. that is.
Comcast.
Yeah,
Comcast.
There's another C.
Charter Communications?
Charter,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And there's two little
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile,
Yeah.
AT&T.
So
Got a few
they're all
questions?
connected.
Rob is in touch
Wow.
with all of them.
Anybody done? I've got a few. Okay. So back to telecommunications undergrounding, which I think excites all of us. So just to be clear, that Zoom meeting that we had way back with all that, where everybody was getting ready to go at each other's throats, and you came in like the Lone Ranger and said, I got a solution, and then everybody shut up. This is the answer to that?
Yeah, yeah. But everybody,
Bravo.
Well,
you gotta start somewhere, I
and-
feel like.
and-
And
do
so
we-
far, we've got a lot of support and a lot of everything, and I've made very, very good progress through all the telecoms and got them, and we're working really good together to kind of see how we can get this sub-application in, we can get funding to kind of do it. So we have,
You are Telecom Gandhi.
yeah, we have everything, we have our trench, we have everything. Another thing that I'm kind of forecasting out in the future too is that the Lost version of this Malibu cog is actually working on broadband.
Fantastic.
And so there's an opportunity to kind of put spare conduit and fiber for our broadband. Something that's
Pretty
kind
great.
of to get to. So there's things.
Second question for the Big Rock drainage repair, is this, so I see it just says liners and I mean, there's the drainage and all the other stuff. Were the hydroggers or the dewatering wells, was there anything else that was damaged that is not being covered?
Not being covered, no. The hydroggers and dewatering wells, a lot of that's being covered under the PA process that I reported on, the public assistance.
Right,
And that's covered in one of the Big Rock projects. Then all the storm drains itself, that's its own project. And then the headscarf, this is mitigation for that headscarf.
right.
And honestly, we're actually pushing it in parallel between the PA process and the hazardous mitigation grant process because of timelines. We didn't have a determination through FEMA yet if it qualified for hazardous mitigation through their program
Right.
to repair that drainage area, the headscarf. And we did get okay from hazardous mitigation to keep it on the table until FEMA makes a determination.
You guys are so smart.
So one will be abandoned and one will not.
That's
But-
amazing.
The hope is that it runs through FEMA.
Yeah.
It has its own cost ratio as opposed to the 75, 18.25, 6.75 ratio. It might be 100% covered, but it goes through its own process. And in fact, 20 minutes before this meeting, I got what I needed to give to FEMA. So then I'm gonna give that to FEMA and hopefully that'll keep moving down the road and we will be, hopefully with great news in my next update.
I'm so impressed.
Because we're going after as much money as we can, just so you
That's
know.
clear.
Clearly.
Short-term, long-term recovery. Our DCMC partners that Rob brought up, as the consultant that's assisting us, my doppelganger. We are looking at all avenues of funding that's available. There's the CDBG recovery money available, there's money that Congress made available through other programs, and we are just pulling down on everything we can.
Awesome.
Do you guys still pay you guys paid assessments
Yes.
from Big Rock?
Yeah.
Will the assessments be mitigated after? Is it an update to the system?
Yeah, this is not.
This has
It's
nothing.
unrelated.
Nothing to,
So-
oh, I thought the assessments were
Well,
for,
Assessments, I mean, but this is for repairs that would not be part of the assessment.
but I was
That's
just
right,
thinking
yeah.
if it was repaired and brought to a modern state with the it
It
I don't
might reduce the maintenance costs
Right.
maybe at some point, that's possible.
Oh, this is better than that.
That's what I
Yeah,
was thinking, you
okay.
have an opportunity to make it so that it's not the assessments
The
that are
infrastructure
making it.
was damaged,
Right.
the infrastructure is managed by the city, therefore it qualifies for public assistance,
Fantastic.
and we will repair it to the current codes and standards.
So
Great.
two last questions real quickly. So the private property wildlife mitigation, 1.4 million, that would be like storm shutters on 6 houses. So it's not a lot. So I'm just curious, what is this actually covering and
I'll be a little bit general, only because this is Susan's grant and program
Okay.
that she will be managing in her department. This is just to bring, she's identified 2 neighborhoods
okay,
that she will work through this pilot program.
okay.
It's a pilot program. And those neighborhoods, she will be working with those homeowners with her staff to see if they qualify for this program and if they need to do any resiliency associated to their roof, to their siding, to their decks. It could be vegetation management, but it's a very new concept. And so we're working very closely with our Cal State representatives as well as DCMC Partners, the consultant with the city. They're working really, we don't have a whole lot of information because it's such a brand new concept.
So do you know if this is purely fiscal, or does this program involve, hey, we have this new storm shutter design, or we have this sprinkler design? Does this involve any recommended or suggested mitigation?
It most likely would be some
technology.
recommended mitigation to the homeowner.
Would it be possible, even if this is a pilot program only for those neighborhoods, if there is recommended technology or recommended mitigation designs, to make that available to the rest of the community? Because one of the conversations everyone is having is, what do I do to prevent this next
Sure.
time? And everyone's saying, sprinklers, and if I do sprinklers, is it water, or is it foam, or is it both, or is it something else? You know, this is, everyone is kind of in this, and it's a little overwhelming to people.
Right.
So
When I
if-
come back with my update, and that quarterly update, I will talk to Susan and get some more information
Wonderful.
for the commission and see how that evolves.
And my last question, what's the timeline on closing this out?
Oh, wow. I'm still working on closing out Woolsey Fire Hazardous Mitigation grants. But Travis said that the drainage is going in, I'm almost done for Clover Heights, and I might be able to do it.
Yeah.
It goes on its own timeline. So,
Okay.
for example, the codes and standards is a 48-month timeline. So that project will close out after 48 months, depending on how the funding goes.
Okay, unless there's an extension.
So that one's 48 months, solid.
Extension, so.
Okay.
That's it for me.
And, Randy,
Yes, sir.
what neighborhoods is this pilot program covering, do you know?
There you go.
Ramirez Canyon, Malibu Park.
Oh, okay, so nothing to do with this fire?
It has to do with the pilot program and homes that were not damaged during the Palisades fire,
Thank you.
unless she changed direction this week. That's what it was last week. It's a very much evolving program right now. It's very
But
pilot.
Woolsey impacted neighborhoods, just to
Those
say.
were, well, now Wilson's been impacted, but.
Yeah.
Okay,
You got
I think we have a gentleman in the audience.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Live Oak offered the telecommunications for a fraction of the cost while they had the ground open and they were laying the electrical for them to lay the telecommunication lines. And they were told that they're going to be paid to do that separately. And I'm just wondering why, when the ground was open for the electrical, they didn't lay the telecom at the same, or the telecommunications at the same time, and in the future, if maybe that's something that can be done.
Before Rob answers your question, I apologize, but I don't know your name.
My name is Barton Crop.
Thank you, Barton.
Very, very difficult question.
Okay, we can talk about it later.
No, I'll try to, I mean, Edison moved at lightning speed to get all their stuff, and they were designing as they go. Telecoms needed a little bit more time to get stuff and see how, if they could actually do what they were, put their stuff underground and do it. The telecoms and Edison work on a different, I guess, revenue structure, to whereas Edison can get a lot of things reimbursed, telecoms not as much. And so it's mostly a timing issue with that. But given that there is some technical kind of issues about like maybe having in the same trench, they can have parallel trench and things, but once they gotta have separate conduits for Edison and the telecoms, they can't commingle anything for a number of reasons.
And Edison is CPUC. Edison is
Yes.
governed by the CPUC, which allows them to raise rates to pay for it, but not the telecom.
Right. So yeah, there are some technical issues why it's hard for them to kind of share. They can be in the same kind of trench per se, but then they'll have their own kind of conduit systems independent of Edison. Does that make sense?
Fair enough.
I just wanted to clarify 2 points. When you asked about when we would complete these hazardous mitigation grants, at this time, we are just developing the sub-applications. So right now, we don't know if these will be awarded. It's a competitive grant program. So if all these projects get awarded, then as we complete the projects, I have to do what's called a quarterly update to them as well as I do to you guys. And it includes reimbursements within that quarter. So we will see a steady revenue return to the city on a quarterly basis, if any or all of these projects are awarded.
Hopefully awesome.
At a minimum, codes and standards will be. I'm not gonna really talk about that. I am.
No, and the rest of it.
I'm not, I just started all. No, all of them would be great. These are great projects. We started with more than what we have here, and we threw every idea out there. Some were not eligible. These are the ones that were eligible.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Honestly, outstanding work.
Yeah.
It is.
It's just very, I mean, bravo you guys.
Okay, are we adjourned?
One last thing,
One last
the Safety Expo is on the 6th of September. So, I'd encourage us to go if you're in town. I may not be in town, but it was great last year. And, it's good to show up at these things.
Where is that?
It's right here at City Hall.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Informal final question?
Well, I would like the whole commission to give the answer or whatever, so, like, of the 4.2, the, cellular type transmission poles will probably be integrated on street lights where there are street lights, but that's mainly PCH, so in the neighborhoods, did the 4.2, was that estimate including replacement poles?
Yes. Yeah, for telecoms, yeah.
So are we paying for their poles?
From my initial discussion, that they won't pick it up.
They won't?
No, they will. They will.
They'll pay for their own poles?
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a standard for that?
That's what they asked me. They're like, hey, what do you want?
I'd like it to look the same,
Yeah, we're developing that.
Okay, Chair, your turn.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.